In a previous video, I already briefly mentioned shortcuts, and we're going to look at those in more detail now. When you go to preferences and then to controls and sounds, you can set up shortcuts here. So these are already set up, but you can change them. So for example, if you want to change the shortcut that starts and stops a session, you can click X here. Then you press record shortcut and then you type your shortcut. So I want this one. So this is now recorded as my shortcut. And so you have shortcuts for starting sessions, starting and stopping meetings, starting a break, stopping a break, expanding and hiding your Lifeline. So that looks like this. Then your Lifeline becomes bigger. Opening and closing the session label window. So if you want to label a session, you get this with this shortcut. You can open the review panel. So that's this panel where you get all your data, something we'll look at in more detail later as well in the next video. And you can open the floating info panel. That only works when you're in a session. So let's start a session. And then if you open the floating info panel, you will see here a panel with some details about your session, which you can put anywhere on the screen. So it has the session label, the session duration, how much time has elapsed, and how many tomatoes you've earned. And from there, you also have some shortcuts to settings and a few other things. Now, the beauty of shortcuts is that, first of all, of course, it speeds up. It's faster to do this shortcut to start or stop a session than to go to the menu and click stop. But the other thing is you can instantly switch from one mode to another. So let's say I'm in a session and then I get a phone call and I want to track that as a meeting. Then I can, instead of having to stop the session and starting the meeting, I can just do the meeting shortcut, and then that will immediately launch a meeting and stop the session. And similarly, to launch a break, instead of having to stop the session, click launch break, or having to use any kind of notification, I can just immediately hit the break shortcut, and then that will launch a break. So this is really the fastest way to navigate. And the last thing that is sometimes very, very nice that I use a lot is when you're in a session. So let's say I'm in a session, I very often use the expand Lifeline function like this, the shortcut, because then I can see until what time my session is supposed to go. So I can check that if I want to, I don't know, tell somebody when to call me back, or just for myself know when my session will end. You can just quickly glance at, you quickly expand your Lifeline and glance at it in this way, and then you close it again with the same shortcut.